For me, I wish I would have gone to Minneapolis in December of 2015.
Okay. And that was before Prince passed.
Yeah.
That was when you were hearing that things weren't 100%.
Yeah.
Okay. What do
Yeah.
you think you would have said to him?
I don't know what I was going to say to him, but I definitely was going to say, I'm here for you.
Okay.
What do you need? I'm here for you.
You've made your life in Vegas, correct?
I have. The thing is, I moved here in 2018 because I wanted to get away from LA. It
Mhm.
just, I don't know, the energy there, and with Prince's passing, I was like, I want something new. And I was always traveling. So for me, home is where you put your stuff. I don't really have, my father was in the army for forever, and they never really had a home base. So for Christmas, they came to see me. So I was like, I knew some people in Vegas, and I knew that I was heavily doing the dog rescue.
Mhm.
And I just said, let me try it out. I rented a house here for a year, and it was so great to be close enough to have meetings and go back to LA, but then also be away from it. And now there's a huge influx of people from California moving here where I'm like, what? No. The traffic
Really?
is everything that I wanted to get away from is happening here. So I'm like, it's time to move to Minnesota. So,
It's funny, as I moved from New York down here to Florida, and
uh-huh.
then everybody came down, same exact
Ah,
thing on the East Coast. Yeah.
yeah.
But I was following on Instagram, I think Boogie Time, but then you sold
Yeah.
that, correct?
Yeah, I sold it. I sold it.
Okay, but you're
Yeah. I
still
mean, it
doing
was,
the rescue.
yeah, I'm still rescuing dogs. It was the business side. It was really hard, just a lot of getting people to work, especially during
Mhm.
this whole pandemic thing. People were like, I don't want to work today. I'm like, wait, what do you mean? There's dogs. What are you talking about? So I was like, okay, it's time to let that go and do the rescue wholeheartedly. So yeah.
Okay. So I want to jump around a little bit. I just read your book, The Most Beautiful.
Oh,
I just
yes.
read it, and then I found out that the book is being made into a film. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
So here's my question. How the hell are you, well, I don't know if you're going to have any input with casting. How the hell are they going to find somebody to play Prince? Because I feel like, how are you going to find, like, he was one in a million. How are you going to
Yeah.
find somebody that embodies all of those qualities? It's because he had a unique stature, he had a unique height, and then he had this unique voice, and he had this energy, and like, where do you find somebody to play
I
that
mean,
role?
it's interesting because I thought the same thing, and I thought it when I wrote the book. I was like, I don't know if I do this to a movie. I don't know who's going to play him because that's going to be really hard. But I mean, talking to people and really thinking about it. I mean, there's some amazing actors out there,
Mhm.
and I think, of course, with watching videos and studying that, I think somebody could do it. And also, it's my story, so it's
Mhm.
not. It doesn't take like when they do his biopic. That's gonna be hard. For me, I mean, I think if there's an essence of him and just the connection and the love shared and shown is really important to me. So
Okay.
I feel confident that we're gonna find somebody that's gonna hold those qualities.
Do you have input in casting, or what is your role in the pre-production process?
I mean, they're very receptive to things that I say. They do have the option to go do it without me, but they are coming back. I mean, there's no casting yet. We're not even there yet, but they're just really sensitive to my opinions and stuff like that. So I think I might have some
Mhm.
help. I'm more worried about me. I'm like, who's gonna play me?
I was gonna
Like,
say that next, because where are they gonna find someone who can dance the way you could dance? You also are a very unique creature. I mean, and it, like, the belly dancing, and like, where are they gonna find somebody who can embody, and do you think that you'll be overly picky in terms of who you think could pull it off, who could play you?
No, I mean, again, I think it's if the essence is there and somebody who can, I mean, of course, somebody who can move. I don't think there'll be extensive dance in the movie. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe there will. But if there is, I did say I wanted to be part of it and choreograph and coach. And I think that whoever has some sort of movement, I have a way of teaching people a way of moving is that works. Hopefully,
Mhm.
we'll see. It's
Okay.
definitely something I'm thinking about, but we'll cross that bridge. And I think I can coach someone. I feel confident.
Do you think are there any actresses out there that you could see playing you that you
At
know?
first, what's funny? Because when I first people started talking to me about it, I in my mind I thought Selena Gomez.
Okay.
But I mean now and I've had people send me people and I'm like, oh wow, she looks like me, but can she do, or have that essence of whatever I have? And I think we'll find it. I don't think it's much more of a look thing. I think, as long as they have the mannerisms, I think.
Okay.
I just watched Priscilla too. I just watched that
You
movie
did. I haven't seen it yet.
and
How
you got to see it. It's really good. It's really good. Sophia did a really good job. And the Priscilla, beautiful, beautiful character, looked nothing like her except she had blue eyes. But I believed it. I was like, that's Priscilla. And the Elvis had a little bit of a look of him, but I believed it. So I felt confident after watching that movie. I was like, okay, no, okay. It can be done and it will be done.
right. You said that you felt at one point that Selena Gomez might be a good fit to play you. What is it about her that you thought perhaps could be a good fit?
I don't know. I saw her picture and I was like, I don't know. There's something about her. She's got a friendliness and innocence to
Mhm.
her that I relate to. I just don't. I saw her playing me. I was like, she could. I think she could do it. I think she could do
Interesting.
it.
And how much do you want to lay bare in terms of what you and Prince went through with your son Amiir? I mean, how much of that do you want to show in the film?
It depends on the director and where they want to go. I mean, I think it's a big, big turning point in our lives that happens. So I think it should be, very sensitive and but shown, you know, with that loss. I mean, I think it's also therapeutic for people to see. So I hope they put that in there.
You know what crossed my mind when I read that? I mean, I knew of the story, but I didn't know all of the details until I read it in your book. And what went through my mind was because at first I felt angry with Prince that he didn't let you get the amniocentesis, that he didn't go along with some of the conventional wisdom, the conventional medicine. But here's the thing though, I feel like had you done that, had he been more of a conventional person, right?
Yeah.
You might have terminated the pregnancy early on, and then you wouldn't have had the experience of meeting Amiir and holding him and loving him, even just for those few days. I'm gonna start crying, I'm sorry. But do you know what I'm saying? I wonder all these years later, how do you feel about that? Do you feel like, "Thank God I didn't take those steps and possibly terminate their pregnancy," or do you feel like I could have saved myself a heartache, or like how do you process it now?
I'm pretty confident that I would not have terminated even if there was something wrong. I think
Okay.
it was more of a clarity of just knowing because while you're pregnant, I don't know if you've been pregnant, you think of everything. That's because that's all you can think about because it's there, you know.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with that baby the minute I heard his heartbeat, and
Mhm.
it was not going to be an option. And I know he would have not even agreed to as well to terminate. And I
Okay.
mean, and I get his. It was more the possibility of losing, because they really said, this is because they wanted to cover their butts. And they
Yeah.
said, there's a risk of miscarriage if you do the amnio, and that's what
Mm.
scared us.
Right.
So it was
Yeah.
like, why are we going to even try when we're not even first off, if there is something wrong, we're not going to terminate. And second off, what if we do it, terminate, and they test and there's nothing wrong? That's even worse.
Yeah.
So, everybody has their journey, but that was for sure what our decision was.
So you feel in your heart and in your soul like the way the journey played out is the way the journey was supposed to play out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it was such a gift to give birth to him and see him and hold him. And yeah, that was, I wouldn't take that away.
You know what's so interesting is that
Mhm.
in the book, when you describe how you came to connect with your daughter, Gia, and how it was so serendipitous, right? It wasn't through the normal conventional channels that you found each other. I
Yeah,
felt like it was your son that connected the two of you. Do you know what I
absolutely.
mean? Yeah.
Absolutely. And it was one of those moments. I've had several of those moments where you really know that there's something else besides this. And
Yes.
when they told me about her, and it was so easy. It was like, you think adoptions are like complicated, and you have to give the mother 30
Well, they
days and you have to
typically
give,
are. They typically are, and that's why it was so different in your case.
yeah. And then when I remember asking, I was like, hey, it's July, August, and you're saying she's 9 months. I did the math and I was like, when was she born? She was like, oh, she's born November 12th. And I remember I was just like, oh my God. And I remember her saying, the biological mother, she's like, yeah, we really wanted her to be an 11-11-11 baby. But she
Mhm.
was born on the 12th. And I'm like, "Ah," crying. It was just, yeah, just a blessing
Wait,
and
whose
really
birthday? She had somebody's birthday, right? Is it
mine.
whose your birthday?
Oh yeah,
Good.
it's my birthday.
Okay.
Where it was
So
like, whoa. Yeah. So that was just one of those you can't even question. Like you say it and you're like, I know you're not gonna believe me, but yeah, her birthday's the same as mine, you know.
that that's incredible.
Yeah.
That's
So
how chills up the spine. Incredible. For
yeah,
sure.
it is.
I found it interesting that because I've been studying this for a long time, that I don't know if you know who Dolores Cannon is. Um,
No.
Basically, it's going under hypnosis to bypass the waking conscious mind, right? So, right, to access the subconscious or access the higher self.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what
Yeah,
we were
and
doing, but we didn't know what
that's
we
what
were
you're
doing.
doing. But you were like way ahead of your time.
Yeah. It was and it was a place of I don't remember anything. I would wake up and he would say everything. I'm like, wow, really? That's crazy. Yeah. So you're right. You're exactly right. We didn't know what we were doing, but that's what we were doing.
So how did he learn to do hypnosis, and like how did he know to do that? Have the notion to do that?
It was, I mean, of course, you see him as being this amazing musician, and what you see, he also had a very calming, very zen energy about him.
Mhm.
And I mean, when he played piano or when he played guitar, you'd see it. Of course, he's on stage, so it's a different type of energy. But if you ever experience him alone, it was he had the gift. He had the
Mhm.
gift to do it, and I can't really explain what, but I haven't felt that energy with anybody in my life. So
Right. So you guys were convinced that you had been together in previous lives, and I know that that's kind of how it all came about.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, it. And I believe in past lives. I did before. I mean, I had been to Egypt many times and I studied. I loved Nefertiti and Cleopatra and King Tut and all that. And I believed in it. So when he said it, I was like, wow, you believe it too. I mean, there was just a comfort. Like, when you meet someone, you just feel comfortable. That's,
Yes.
and then we had a belief. I mean, it's in a song that he wrote called Savior. And it was under hypnosis that it came out. And
Wow.
he said, we're like two petals from the same flower,
Oh,
you
wow.
know?
Yeah.
And it's in the garden in heaven, and there's this beautiful garden. And yeah, it's something that I believe in very strongly.
Was he the love of your life? And do you believe that you were the love of his life as well?
The thing is, people say love of the life. Um, like I love my mother, and I love my dogs and my daughter. So to
Mhm.
say love of my life, I have many loves of my lives. And I think he did too. I think we strongly impacted each other. I believe in soulmates. I definitely think that we were soulmates. Um, but I also respect other other loves, like example, like my mother and my daughter. Like they're everything to me. So
Well, yeah, but that's okay. Okay. Romantic love of one's life.
oh
Come on. Right.
yeah, 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 pretty much. Yeah, I definitely
Would you
think so.
say that that was mutual?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
Have
absolutely.
you have you gotten any phone calls from Carmen Electra or from his other ex-wife Manuela saying, "Hey, so I heard that there's a movie being made, and how am I going to be portrayed?" And anything.
No, no. I mean, I think just after reading the book, I think the movie's going to be just as respectful and beautiful. It's
Mhm.
not, and I when I spoke to the production company, and they're very very sensitive to that and want to respect that. So I don't think it's going to be there's none of that. We don't have time
Okay.
for that.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, I hope the biopic, if they, when they do it, that they show. I mean, they're going to show his many relationships, and I
Mhm.
mean, it was what it was.
Right. I mean, because you talked about his love of women, and you
Yeah.
made reference to there was always a girl on the way in and a girl on the way out, you know, which maybe spoke to his, I think that oftentimes people that have had a lot of relationships in their lives, I don't think it's so much about playing the field or anything like that. I think it's more about some people just love love, and they not just love love, but they need something. It's like filling something inside. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he definitely had a lot of that. I mean, I think he was searching for something and wanted to have a family and get married at a certain point of his life. I mean, I met him at the perfect time that what he wanted. I think if I met him in his 20s, or if I was, it wouldn't have worked out. So that's when I believe in,
Yeah.
things happening and fate, basically.
Yeah. Well, timing is everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what do you hope and pray that I always ask this question, but typically it's more like a hypothetical question, but in your case, it's more practical right now. When a movie is made about your life, what do you hope and pray that the producers, the director, the script writer, the actor, the whole collaboration, what do you hope that they get right? And so, like, what are the non-negotiables? Like, please capture this about me.
The love, the love, the love.
Okay.
That's really strong. And it's interesting because I watched Priscilla, and I felt that that was one missing element there. It was very, how they met, how he created or groomed her, and then they had a baby. And I just didn't feel those moments of love.
Hmm.
And that's really important to me.
Okay. And I know that you talk about this kind of like parallel between you and Priscilla Presley. That she was
Yeah.
also in Germany, and when she met Elvis, and
Yeah, and it was crazy because in the movie she says, "Oh, I'm in Wiesbaden." I was like, "Oh my God, I was in Wiesbaden. That's crazy." It's crazy because there's a lot of military bases in Germany. There's Mannheim, Munich, K-Town, Frankfurt, and to be Wiesbaden, and then to be 16, and then to go to the same school, and then to meet. It's
a rock
crazy.
star.
It's
Yeah, that's
crazy. Then I remember because I had seen Elvis and I guess it was in my era. It was a movie that came out, and I remember watching it. I wasn't a really big fan of Elvis. I just like, oh, okay, yeah, Elvis, whatever. But I remember seeing it, and I remember seeing her picture in the lobby, and I was like, wow, she went here. And then literally a year later, I'm like, this is weird. This is
Had-
crazy.
have you ever met her? Have you ever spoken to her about it?
No,
About
I no, I want to. I would love to meet her. I met Lisa Marie. I met Lisa
okay.
Marie, and I mean, we didn't talk about that. We just talked whatever we talked about. Just two women we were at a wedding, and
Mhm.
we just kind of sat together and talked about stuff. Very nice.
How,
Very nice.
how long did it take? I know that you were very, very, very young, but how long did it take for that starstruck feeling when you first met Prince to kind of subside, where you were like, okay, this is the guy that I'm with, but I know that you never called him Prince, right?
Yeah.
But how long did it take before he was just a guy, just the guy in your life?
I think that's why I didn't call him Prince. It was funny because when I would speak to him on the phone, he was just my friend. And then when I would go see him play, it was like, oh my God, it's the same guy. And then when I finally he invited me to a rehearsal, and
Mhm.
I was face to face with him, person to person, and I was sitting down and he started playing. And I was like, okay, let's just play. And then he started playing Purple Rain. I was like, I need to breathe right now. I need to breathe. It's like, let me give me a second. And then I said to him, I'm like, you're playing. You just laugh. And so it was easy for me to just forget that and then focus on him being just my friend. You know,
Okay.
I can't really explain how I did it, but it was just, and also, as working for him too, it was very easy for me to switch into, okay, I work for you. I'm dancing, blah, blah, blah. It's going to be amazing. I'm watching you, to being in a relationship.
Okay. Are you still dancing professionally? Are you still choreographing and dancing?
I could perform for the time with the time or stay in the time in October. And that was amazing. I'm going to go back into it this year. Doing the business it took a lot. And in the pandemic, I had a show planned here in Vegas, and all of that kind of stopped. And it made me reassess. I mean, I teach class. I love teaching. I love choreographing, but I'm still going to do that. And we're actually doing some stuff for Live for Love that is going to have me be creative as well. So I'm excited about it.
So let's talk about Live for Love.
Yeah.
That was a nonprofit that you and Prince created. It was actually in honor of your son Amir. And what was it originally called
A
again?
love for one another.
Love for One
Yeah.
Another.
Hmm.
Okay. So then it was like, how many years was it dormant before you decided to relaunch it as Live for Love?
I mean, it was a private foundation when we started it. And I remember him walking into my office and saying, I think we should start a charity. And I was like, oh, yeah. And I didn't know much about it. I would always see him write checks to people and just not say anything, or not even, anonymously send money to people. So then it was interesting that he wanted to do this. And I was like, okay, let's figure this out. And just, we would do coat drives, food drives, and he would donate. And he'd see something on TV and say, okay, let's write them a check. So it was kind of what he would catch his eye, and I just kind of follow the lead. And then when we divorced, he continued it. He continued donating. As always, it was always private. And then when he passed, we got the news that he had left myself and Kirk on the board. And we kind of went back and looked at everything, which he did so much. Donated so much to so many people. So we kind of took elements of everything and revamped it, made it a public charity. So now we're public. And our mission statement, we just kind of figured it would be the perfect description of helping people up and helping people out. And there's many avenues of doing that, whether it be music education for children, because we also want to do dance. There's so much that we want to do. So yeah, that's what we're starting.
So you're right now, you're choosing 10 different charities that you're going to donate 10,000 to each of them.
Yeah, we did. We did that in December. We kind of did something during the pandemic where we did $100 a day for 30 days. It was so
Okay.
funny because I committed. I was like, yeah, every day at 5 o'clock. Oh my God. I was in the car sometimes. I was, I was just, oh my God, it's 5 o'clock. And I'd have to pull over and announce who won. But it was so great because people were involved, they were engaged, and they were nominating people that were just doing just random acts of kindness. And we would give them $100. So we thought, let's do it again on a broader scale, on a bigger scale, and let's see what people are doing. And again, it was over 150 nominations of so many amazing people,
Yeah.
charities doing stuff. So we it was hard, and there's still others that we want to help, but we narrowed it down to 10, and it kind of, and all of the being animals, being homeless, and food, so many, education, we picked them, and then we granted it. Now we're starting our own program. We're going to continue that. I think we'll always do every year like a 10 for 10 because it did really well. We're starting a program called Live for Music. I'm really
Okay.
excited about it. We're going to, and what prompted me, of course, it was always, we always thought it was important to give music classes to people who were talented but didn't have the means. What
Mhm.
prompted me is that my daughter Gia wanted to take guitar classes. And I was like, okay. And I looked and saw how much it was. I was like, wow, okay, that's how much for how long? So I was like, you know what? This is perfect because there's children with that talent and that want, but they don't have the means. So
Yeah.
I called professional Grammy winning Berkeley teachers, you name it. I have the list of teachers, musicians, professionals that are willing to teach these children via Zoom and eventually probably in person. And then we're going to have a big concert and we're all going to play together.
They're donating their time.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
I'm excited.
What is the greatest piece of advice you've ever received and who was it from?
I would say Prince. It wasn't advice, it was just his belief in me, because I was just a belly dancer, classical ballerina. And then I started to change my style to his music. And then he was like, I remember I used to go edit music videos with him and I would see him. And back then, editors, they weren't very they were rhythmically challenged. And he would just sit there and groan because they would like the kick or the high or, it wouldn't be on time. My dancing step would be completely off and he'd sit there and fix it. And then I started to fix it. I used to do that. And he was like, why don't you start editing? I was like, what do you mean? I started editing. And I'm like, well, why don't you start directing? So
Mhm.
I started directing. He's like, so why don't you start? And it was always, why not? If you're not good at it, don't do it. But why not?
Why
And
not?
that's been my belief. I mean, I've done so many things because of why not. So
I always say that the sky's the limit.
yeah.
I tell my son that, I tell everybody I know that. I'm like, and I literally don't understand when people don't get that. When they're like, "Oh, I could never do this. I could never be this." I'm like, "Why not?
Why not?
Why not you? Why that schmuck?" You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly. It also helped me, and I hope this is why I want to do Live for Love, Live for Music so much is I remember being that dancer in Germany and I saw Prince on stage and I was like, I will never be able to do anything like that. And the why not kicked in. And then I'm on stage with him and I'm like, I'm on stage doing this. I'm next to Whitney Houston. You know, why not? The
well,
sky
your
is the
mom
limit.
had that why not attitude because she's the
Yeah,
one who got him the tape of you dancing, right?
she did. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? But I'm like, and that's why I'm so passionate about getting, these opportunities to these
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah, it's the opportunity, but it's also letting them know you can do whatever you wanna do.
Yeah, and see outside because I mean, when I was in the military base, I mean, we lived in the military base, and it took a lot of guts, and I just I would venture out. I would take the public bus and go down to Wiesbaden in the city, and I would take ballet classes there, and I would start, because a lot of people would just feel confined and not wanting to go and just try to go out of their comfort zone, if that makes any sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. And do you pray? And if so, who or what do you pray to?
I pray. There's no real like dear God or dear, I just know there's a heavenly being that is powerful and full of love, and it's an energy. I do pray sometimes, especially when I get on the plane. I'm like, please God. I do say, please God. I do. I'm like, please God. Just, if it happens, just hope we're all okay, please. I have moments like that, but it's more about being grateful. I'm always grateful to the people around me and the things that I have.
Okay. And if you could travel back in time and change in some way, alter in some way, some famous world event, some historical famous world event, where would you go and what would you attempt to change?
Oh, wow. That's a good question.
Usually people hate me for that question. I've never heard someone say that's a good question.
That's a really good question. I mean, like, just in general. Wow. Because there's world events that I'd be like, okay, I wish I could have, but realistically, could I have done anything? For me, I wish I would have gone to Minneapolis in December of 2015.
Okay. And that was before Prince passed.
Yeah.
That was when you were hearing that things weren't 100%.
Yeah.
Okay. What do
Yeah.
you think you would have said to him?
I don't know what I was going to say to him, but I definitely was going to say, I'm here for you.
Okay.
What do you need? I'm here for you.
Do you feel a sense of, I mean, were you aware of the fentanyl use? Did you
No,
weren't aware of anything like that? Okay.
no, I just heard he wasn't doing well. And I was like, okay, and I remember there was a report about him being dehydrated. And I was like, he drinks so much water. There's no way he's
Yeah.
dehydrated. But I was like, so, I, I didn't know exactly what it was, but I knew something, and I knew that he needed help. So
Yeah.
that's what I would have done. And I would have been stubborn. Ooh, I would have been stubborn.
Yeah.
He would have been like, "Who are you?" But I think, you know, things happen for a reason, I guess.
Yeah. What was it that stopped you and made you say, "No, I'm not gonna go."
If there's that fear, like I said, turning 50 makes you really like now, and I've been like, yeah, we're going
Yeah.
right now. You know, I was 40 something. I was nervous. I was like, should I go? Should I not go? Maybe I'll wait. Maybe I'll wait till spring, because it was December.
Yeah.
And I mean, this December, the weather's been crazy everywhere, but I was like, should I go? Should I take Gia? Should I not take Gia? You know, I think two in my head.
Okay. Okay. And what do you think you came into this life as Mayte Garcia to learn? And what do you think you came here to teach or being like a living example of?
Oh man, you're good. You're good. I would say to teach, I would say love. It's really hard for me and again, like turning 50, standing up for myself. I always want to help and rescue. And sometimes being strong and letting go is is something that I think I came here to learn. But definitely here to teach love, and like really, you guys, don't be a jerk. Think for a second and realize that you can change somebody's world with just a smile.
Mm, okay. And is there anything left on your bucket list? I mean, you've experienced, I mean, like you've run the gamut, you've been all over the world, you've met and worked with so many people, you've done so many things. What is left that you're like, I've got to do this, or I've got to fill in the,
Where you go when you go into a frozen lake?
is that a thing? Maybe in Minnesota.
Yeah, like Wim Hof is that guy where he does breathing and then he takes ice baths, and it's this whole like thing. And my sister was telling me about it, and then somebody just did it for a charity to raise money. He walked into a frozen lake, and I'm like, okay, I don't know about walking. I don't mind diving in and then getting out, you know. But that's a bucket list thing. I want to do it. I don't want to do it, but I want to do it.
Okay. Is it like, do you mean like where there's a frozen, like a thing of ice over and you have to break through the ice, or just
No,
very
I don't
cold?
want to do that. No, because if a current came, even though no, that would freak me out. The whole ice thing on top, a cold lake that's
Okay.
cold, like it's
Cold
cold. That's like
plunge,
all
like
right,
a polar bear plunge.
yeah, something like that. I want to
Okay.
do that.
And so do you have any special significant other in your life right now? Or are you dating right now?
Yeah, I have someone.
You
Yeah,
do?
he's a musician, but completely different jazz. So it's like, and I love it because it's a completely different world. I'm like, oh, nice. Because I love jazz. I've always loved jazz. Prince actually introduced me to Miles Davis and
Okay.
so many amazing musicians. And, so it's nice to like, oh, nice.
Very nice.
Yeah. And
And
the touring is definitely different. It's not like, Prince tours. His tours are
okay.
like, we're going to have lunch. Okay. We're having dessert. Okay. We're going to go on stage. And okay, I'm going to bed. I'm like, yeah, there's no after party. There's no, there's none of that. So I'm like, yay, this is good.
Could you see yourself getting married again?
You know, it's funny because I've always said no. I've always thought I wasn't going to do it again, but I'd consider it if it was, if it, not the typical, not the, the whole wedding and all that.
Mhm.
I'd say that commitment, not call it that, but kind of, you know,
Oh, okay.
I'd consider it, but I
Okay.
wouldn't build a whole, we're married. No, 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 we're not doing that.
But are you in love?
Yeah, definitely.
Yay.
Yeah, it's great. It's finally a love that and he's understanding because I have a serious past. It's
Yeah,
very it's very known. So it's a confidence and a security that I feel. So it's so great.
that's very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
So, okay, where can people find Live for Love if they want to get involved or donate or anything like that?
Yeah. Liveforlovecharities.org. Live the number 4, not FOR. Live for love charities.org. We also have Twitter, we have Instagram, we have TikTok. We're everywhere,
Okay.
everywhere. Yeah. And then YouTube channel. We're planning some really cool things this year. I'm really excited about it. So, and the way to get involved is, that's another thing. Why not? I started making candles. Why not? It was a pandemic. I was bored and I love playing with scents. And I was like, I don't want to do perfume. That's too complicated. I started making candles. I started with soy, then I moved on. And now I sell candles on Live for Love charities for the organization, and it's doing amazing. I throw in like, when Prince and I were together, he wore a lot of perfumes, and I remember I used to go to Nordstrom's and sit there with the lady and just, okay, wait. We would just sit there. I'm like, there's sandalwood in here, there's vanilla, and there's jasmine. I know there's jasmine and everything, but it's not the top note because this. So I really love scents, and I'm throwing in scents that he used to wear. So people are like, oh, I want to have it. I want to have it. So it's really great. So
Oh,
you can
that's
buy that. Yeah.
okay.
And take a video of your kid if he's interested in playing an instrument and send it to us so we can get things going.
So you can match them with somebody who can volunteer and teach them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
And in
that's
the near future, we're going to do dance as well because you can't leave that out.
no, no, you can't. And
Yeah.
no, Mayte's Rescue.
My Team's Rescue. Yeah. I've just partnered up with another rescue that's going to help me because I have two St. Bernards,
Mhm.
48 pounds each. They're at the vet right now, but we need to get them in home. So we're trying to find fosters are hard. And that's a really hard thing. And I wish people would open their homes a little more to these dogs. Cause I mean, I always rescue. I try not to rescue aggressive dogs. I give that to other rescues who have the means and the know it all how to handle that. So, do your research on rescues and foster.
You have to be local in the Las Vegas area to take in these
N-
dogs, or
No, no, I'm willing to transport them because,
really?
yeah, I've done it. I've had people foster in Florida, in Alabama, like different places. And I have volunteers that are willing to drive. They're like, let me know, I'll drive them. I'm like, okay, all right, let me find that
Uh,
person. Yeah, I
pretty
have some
cool.
great volunteers. They can't foster, but they're like, you need me to transport, I got you. I'm like, okay. So
And do you think that you'll write another book? Or do you think like that was your swan song and like you're good? Or
no, it's funny because every time I talk, especially like when I have interviews like with you and stuff, I leave going, wow, there's so much more I'd like to share. So I'm thinking about it. Yeah, I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about writing another one. We also wrote one, Prince and I, back in 1996 called Happy Tears. And I'm trying to get that released as well. But I mean, that one it's a children's book. And
wrote it
it's
together
like,
and it
we wrote it
never
together and
never published?
never published.
Okay.
So I'm trying to make that happen because it's such a beautiful book. It's kind of like, The Little Prince, where it's a children's book, but not really. It's kind of like that, where it is a
Okay.
children's book. And I remember I read it to Gia at different stages of her life, and it was so funny to see her, what she would say to different, in different stages of her life. But at the end, she got it. So I think it'd be great. I'm
Tell me
working
what
on that. So
it's called again?
Happy Tears.
Happy Tears. Okay.
Yeah.
So it'll be like bylined by you and Prince
Yeah.
when it comes
Yeah.
out. That is
Hopefully,
awesome.
hopefully, hopefully.
Hey. Oh, it will. It will. That'll
Yeah.
sell itself. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I know
Thank
we ran all
you.
over the place.
I know. And it's my day off and I'm running around doing stuff. And I was like, I knew I had you today, but yeah. Thank you.
You can listen to this entire episode and other interviews of mine by going to Apple Podcasts or Spotify and downloading and subscribing to the Allison Interviews podcast.